Hey guys, this is Sergeant Phoenix back in the action, and today we are doing another Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile, and I mentioned this one when I have done my Karibo level 1 deck. This is my Barrel Dragon deck, sorry. So the category goes as usual, monster, spells and traps. Comment down below what you think of the deck, and what you think, and what you'd rate it. So first we have Barrel Dragon itself. Fun fact, what many people don't know who watched the remake of the season, what 4Kids did to it, that these parts of the cannons, that leak all machine and all sci-fi and electrical, was actually originally designed to be like barrel cannons. In the anime of the first season, when it is you actually see a bullet go into position, like a revolver does, and then fire like a gun. And not a lot of people know that, because not a lot of people have a look at the originals and then look at the remake, the redos. And this is Barrel Dragon's effect. Once per turn, you can target one monster your opponent controls, toss 3 coins, and then toss a coin 3 times and destroy it if at least 2 of the results are heads. So if I toss a coin 3 times, 2 of it heads, so let's say heads, tails, heads. Since there's been 2 heads, that monster will be destroyed. Having 3 of them, because, that's good. Next we have Desperado Barrel Dragon. And this one looks a bit more and this design is actually quite good. If a face-up Dark Machine monster or monsters you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. Once per turn during the battle phase, quick effect, you can toss a coin 3 times. Destroy face-up monsters on the field with up to the number of heads. Then, if the result was 3 heads, draw 1 card. This card cannot attack the turn you activate. The turn this effect is activated. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 level 7 or lower monster that has a coin tossing effect from your deck to your hand. And that's what this deck's mostly built. Sometimes if you're building a Barrel Dragon, it's mostly a luck deck. Like Joey Wheeler's is practically dice rolls, coin tossings and guessing. It's practically a pure luck. It's a deck that relies purely on luck a lot of the time. Once per turn, you can target 1 Dark Machine monster you control and 1 face-up card your opponent controls. Destroy them. If a monster you control that was originally a dark monster destroys an opponent's monster by battle or card effect and sends it to the graveyard, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to half of the original attack of one of those monsters or monsters destroyed and sent to the graveyard. You can only use the effect of VM for Blast Spider once per turn. I like the design of this. It just really looks well done. And this card people will recognise if they see my Knights of Annoy deck or have seen Vrain's Jack Wyvern. And it's a quite alright deck. So you can banish this card. And 1 face-up machine monster you control, then target 1 dark monster in your graveyard, special summon it. You can only use the effect of Jack Wyvern though once per turn. That's using Knights of Annoy if you're not recognised. And if you wish to see a Knights of Annoy deck, I have it. You can look at my deck profiles and you will see it there. Next we have Cannon Soldier. And offer 1 monster on your side of the field as a tribute to inflict 500 points of direct damage to your opponent's life points. Monsters used for a tribute summon or that are offered as tributes due to other cards' effects are excluded. And this is from the original season. This is a combine of Bandit Keith's and some of the new ones as well. Bandit Keith used Barrel Dragons as well, and I mentioned this on the on my last deck profile, but I'll explain about Bandit Keith a bit more when I finish the deck profile. Next we have 3 Blast Spheres. I put 2 of them there, and I'll explain what it does. If this face down defense position card was attacked by an opponent's monster before damage calculation, equip this card to the attacking monster, then during your opponent's next standby phase, destroy the monster this card is equipped to. If you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack of the destroyed monster had on the field. So my opponent used Blue Eyes, attach this, and when that effect happens, when that's destroyed, when it's equipped, while it's equipped to it, then that's practically 3,000 points. Next I added Dralago, and this was Merrick's deck. It wasn't Bandit Keith's, but it's quite a good card to use. And the reason being, when there are only face-up monsters with attack 1600 or more on your opponent's side of the field, this monster can attack your opponent. This monster can attack your opponent's life points directly. And this is quite a good effect. There's no limit, so if you have 2 of these, that's 3,200 points to your opponent, which is quite a decent deck strategy. Next I have 2 Fusela Dragon, the dual mode beast. And its effect, this card can be, if this card can be normal summoned or set without tribute. In that case, the original attack and defense of this card becomes half, so it'll have 1,400 defense attack and 1,000 defense if you summon it without tributing. Another Knights of Annoy deck, Cracking Dragon, which actually is a really good card in my opinion. Cannot be destroyed by battle with a monster with equal or lower level. When your opponent normal or special summons a monster, exactly 1 monster, and no other monsters are summoned, while this monster is on the field, you can make that monster lose attack equal to its level times 200. So my opponent summons a level 4, and it has 1,800 attack points. Its attack points become 8,000 because 4 times 200 equals 800. Until the end of this turn though. And if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack lost by this effect. So your opponent would also take 800 points of damage if that was the case. Next we have Mechanical Chaser. I can't say it. This is a normal monster, so there's not really an effects. A level 4, 1,850 attack with 800 defense. Now we're up to our spells. We have 3 equips, Heavy Metal Raiders. And its effect is simple. The first time each Dark Machine monster you control would be destroyed by battle each turn, it is not destroyed. And if you took battle damage from the battle, it gains that much attack after damage calculation and keeps that attack gain as long as this card is on the field. Once per turn, if a monster you control that was originally a dark monster, a Dark Machine monster, Dark Machine destroys a card or cards on the field by battle or card effect, you can special summon 1 Dark Machine monster from your hand. So it is a good card to use. It's almost like the set of 7 completed, which I don't have in this deck though. But 7 completed, it's like a power increase. It just increases either the attack or the defense of your choice to a machine monster. And I did mention this on the first one, that Bandit Keith used that card to cheat during the duel. And I will explain again why. And we're nearly done anyway. Next we have 2 Cracking Storms. Equip only to a machine monster. When that attacking monster destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can activate this effect. It can make a second attack during the battle phase. Your other monsters cannot attack the turn you activate this effect though. So that is a good card to use though if you're using like Barrel Dragon or other ones. Next we have Veil of Darkness. During your draw phase, if you draw a dark monster or monsters, you can reveal any number of them, send them to the graveyard, and if you do, draw 1 more card. So if you want to get rid of 2 of them you don't want, you can draw another card. Next we have Limiter Removal, which if you don't know what this does, you need to watch GX when Crowler goes against Chumley. That's probably the best way you can say it. And this doubles the attack of all machine monsters you control until the end of this turn, and during the end of the turn it destroys those monsters. So until that turn, but it is a risky card because in the end of the turn it destroys your machine monsters that got powered up by it. But with it, the attack points of all my machines are doubled. And I use that in Ancient Gears because you should use it in an Ancient Gear deck. Next we have Mesmeric Control. And this is a card Seto Kaiba used in the very first season when he went up against Pegasus. When he had his blue jacket and not the white one, the very grey one he's known to wear. During your opponent's next turn, after you activate this card, your opponent cannot change the battle position of monsters except with a card effect. So that is a good card. Next we have Photon Blast. And this card's effect, once per turn, if an activated card effect tosses a coin, immediately after it resolves, apply the following effects depending on the number of heads. If you got 1, inflict 500 points of damage to your opponent. 2 heads, destroy 1 card your opponent controls. 3 heads, however, which is very lucky if you do, look at your opponent's hand and discard 1 card from their hand. When an effect is activated that tosses a coin 2 or more times, you can banish this card from your graveyard, treat all results as heads. So this is good since it's a continuous. Next we have Pulse Mines. And this card's another Knight of Annoy deck, I like to say. If you control a machine monster, change your opponent's attack position monsters, if any, to defense position. Also, until the end of this turn, if a monster or monsters is normal or special summon to your opponent's field, change them to defense position. Next we have, from Bandit Keith's original deck, Time Machine. So let me just do that. When a monster is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, special summon that monster to the same field it was on, in the same battle position it was when destroyed. So practically it goes back, and Bandit Keith says it goes back in time to save your monster. So when it's destroyed, it brings it back the same way it was. So the battle never happened, but you took damage, you still take damage. Now I wanted to talk about Bandit Keith. Bandit Keith's an American duelist, and originally we hear about him when Kaiba mentions him in a tournament duel where this dude Bandit Keith won, was in the finals against Pegasus. But Pegasus was able to win because he had his Millennium Eye, so he knew the cards he had in his deck and how to beat, and he had a deck built to beat it. But instead he wanted to humiliate Bandit Keith, so he wrote down the cards he had and what to do to win the duel. And he had a kid from the audience come to the stage and beat Bandit and beat Keith. Normally, and anyone will tell you in a tournament asking for help's normally illegal. But Pegasus just proved that a kid could beat him. And the kid said that he only started learning how to play last week. But Pegasus told him to follow the instructions he wrote down and he'd win. And he won. Normally there'd be no way he'd know how to beat him if he was just a rocker. But when Keith looked at the note, he knew it was all there. The cards he played, the card he'd play, and how to beat it, everything was on it. Because the Millennium Eye, what Pegasus had, allowed him to read the minds of other people. So, having the power to read a mind, if you're a duelist, it practically gives you the advantage you need. If you can read minds from a distance, and if you had the money, like Pegasus did since he created the game, you can have every card in your disposal, and you could build the perfect deck to counter your opponents perfectly. But Bandit Keith came back in Duelist Kingdom because he wanted revenge. And when he made it to the semi-finals by beating up his crew and taking their star chips because you needed 10 to get in, they needed an entry card to get in. But he stole Joey's. But when Joey won, because Mai gave Joey her when Mai gave Joey her entry card, he was allowed to go in since they both had one. And but Keith told them that the duel didn't count because Joey's entry card didn't belong to him, so he should be disqualified. And Joey instantly got it. Instantly said he lost his, so Mai gave him hers. But everyone knew he stole it. But Joey asked, how could he know that was Mai's and that wasn't his entry card? It was someone else's. But Pegasus already knew that Keith stole Joey's card, and it was why he was so confident that Joey would never be able to find it. But then, Keith would be disqualified, but not just cheating outside the duel against tournament regulations. He also cheated during the duel, which, if you watched carefully, you'd see. Because I mentioned 7 completed, that powers up Machine Monster's attack or defense. Keith hid a second pair of 7 completed beneath his wristband, and then, and when he wanted it, when he needed it, he'd just take it. And he had a slot Machine Monster he needed to power its attack points. So that way, in case of emergencies, he was able to power up his slot Machine Monster whenever he needed. But he came back again, but I don't know what happened to him after. What happened in Season 2. He came back, but Merrick, the villain of Season 2, took over his mind and made him a one of his mindless slaves to defeat Yugioh and take his Millennium Puzzle. But we don't know what happened. I don't know if he survived when the building collapsed and was set on, and burnt to the ground. I don't know if he survived. Most likely he did, but I don't know what happened. But I heard when the Wicked Gods that he survived, and he had Wicked Eraser, but he hated using that card because Wicked Eraser attack points determine on the number of cards your opponent has on the field times 1,000. So that you'd have to give your opponent cards to use. So there's a downside to that card a lot of the time. So that's as far as I know about Bandit Keith. And the person who gave Bandit Keith the wicked eraser was Pegasus' son, which was only confirmed in the manga but was never made in the series. But it was still a good story in my opinion. But if you want to see, I think it was, I don't know if it was Wicked Eraser that he gave him. I'm trying to think who had Wicked Dreadroot. I think it was Pegasus when he brought him back, and Pegasus' son had Wicked Avatar. But that is it for that deck profile. You've learned a little bit about the character who uses Barrel Lords, and his deck was always filled up with machines anyway. So until then, comment down below what you thought, what other deck profiles I should do, what other deck experiments I should work on. And I'm waiting for the next episode of Reigns to come out for my next episode review. But until then, this is Sergeant Phoenix. Over and out.